Hey, what's up everybody? In today's video, we're back with part 2 of knowledge checks in Street Fighter 6. Let's get right into it with our first knowledge check. This knowledge check is one that I know you've all experienced both online and offline, and it's against Ryu players who like to throw Hadokens just outside of crouching medium kick range. But what Ryu players will do, they'll mix it up, they'll feint with a light Hoshogeki, and then they'll drive rush for a throw, which is going to punish you when you do your parry. This is a little bit tricky to do, but there's a pretty consistent option select we can do. What you do is you tap parry when you see the Hadoken come out, but you have to watch Ryu. As soon as you see him do a Hoshogeki instead, you're going to cancel your drive rush with a forward input and then do either a standing light punch or a throw. If you want to get really technical, you can always buffer a forward to cancel your parry into a drive rush. This way, if you end up blocking the Hadoken, you won't get a drive rush cancel. But if Ryu goes for the Hoshogeki, you won't block anything and you'll just neutral drive rush cancel out of your parry and be able to either land a punish counter, or if your timing is a little bit off, maybe just a regular counter hit. What you're going to want to do is go into your recording settings, record a sequence of Ryu doing a couple of light Hadokens in the mid-range, and then in the second slot, just throw in a light Hoshogeki somewhere in there. Be sure to record Ryu doing a drive rush into throw after the Hoshogeki to kind of replicate what it would be like in a real match. Then turn on both recordings and practice reacting to the light Hoshogeki with your drive rush forward into light punch and go for your best punish counter combo. Like I said, this is a bit tricky to do without practice, so make sure you go into training mode, record these sequences, and try it out a couple of times until you've really gotten it down. This will help you out a lot in the Ryu matchup when he tries to fake you out with the light Hoshogeki, so give it a try. The second knowledge check we're going to look at is when Ryu cancels normals into either Hadoken or the hard version of Hoshogeki. Now, blocking the hard version of Hoshogeki isn't the worst thing ever, but Ryu does get to steal his turn back because this is +2 on block. Now, there's something special to know about Hoshogeki. The light version is going to be gapless if he cancels it from normals, but the medium version is going to have a bit of a gap in it, which will frame trap you if you try to push buttons. One of the best ways to kind of deal with this is to just option select a drive impact in between his cancel normal and his next attack. If Ryu goes for a light Hoshogeki or a Hadoken that is gapless, your drive impact won't come out, but if Ryu goes for something with a gap, like medium or heavy Hoshogeki, your DI will come out automatically and you'll get a punish counter combo. One thing to be careful of is to make sure that you're checking how much super meter Ryu has, because if he reacts to this, he can cancel his Hoshogeki into his level 3, which will beat your DI. There is some risk involved with this, so you don't want to use it every single time, but if you notice Ryu players are really overusing normals canceled into heavy Hoshogeki, try throwing in a drive impact after the normal and you'll be able to beat Ryu for going for this option. Alright, next up we have Guile. So a lot of Guile players will try to control space by doing Sonic Blade and then doing a boom afterwards, and this is pretty strong. But don't let Guiles get away with really sloppy spacing. Some people don't know this, but Sonic Blade actually pushes Guile's hurt box way out in front of him. So using any good low hitting move like crouching medium kicks or sweeps is a great way to hit Guile when he does this move. His hurt box extends surprisingly far out. As you can see here, this snipes Guile from way far out, way further than what Manon can usually do in this game. So if you're playing a character with a good crouching medium kick, sweep, or any low hitting special, try to use those moves when you see Guile going for this move just outside of your crouching medium kick range. Second knowledge check we have against Guile is his drive rush, crouching medium kick, or overhead mix-up. Now this might catch you by surprise, but Guile's crouching medium kick from a drive rush actually isn't plus. Guile is -1 on this. Now a lot of Guile players will kind of push their turn hoping that you don't know that it's -1, and they'll do something like push crouching jab after you block a drive rush crouching medium kick. Just remember, you are +1 in this situation, so your 4-frame crouching light punch or standing light punch will beat a Guile player who tries to steal their turn back after this move. So if you block this, pushing crouching light punch or any 4-frame normal is a pretty good idea in general. Just be aware that his drive rush overhead actually does put Guile at +1, so this isn't really a situation where you're going to want to push buttons. You can do things like input a delayed throw tech here, or you can try to aim for a perfect parry if you think he's going to attack, but just treat this +1 situation just like any other +1 situation in the game. Next, let's take a look at Kimberly's set play options after she sets her bomb in the corner. Now here are two really common set play sequences that let her land her bomb. The first one is off her medium punch target combo into run slide, and the second one is after a longer combo using some OD moves. The most important thing to remember is that Kimberly is only going to get a combo off of a throw if she lands the throw immediately after you get up. So when you get up, doing a delayed throw tech is a good way to kind of negate this or to simply block. As you see here, if she does one crouching light kick or crouching light punch into throw, it's going to mess up the timing, preventing Kimberly from getting a full combo on you. Now if you do end up just blocking, what a lot of Kimberly players will do, they'll do a string and they'll end with either elbow or slide, and this will leave her at massive plus frames because the bomb is going to go off, and that's going to be a really good situation for Kimberly. What you can do here is try to perfect parry either the elbow or slide follow-up, and this will give you a perfect parry, and then you're going to back throw her into the corner, allowing you to avoid the bomb and also switch sides, giving you the advantage. The perfect parry timing on this is tricky, so definitely go into training mode, record Kim doing the exact sequence I have here, and practice perfect parrying against both her elbow special follow-up and the slide, and you'll have a much easier time against this character next time you play. Now when asking people about how to fight Kimberly, a lot of people will say just mash light punch because it beats all her pressure. Now some of that's true, but it's not always true. You have to know when you can push crouching light punch to interrupt her pressure, especially when she's trying to go for run cancels. Now while she has a couple of special cancelable moves that she'll often go into run from, only 2 or 3 of them are actually going to be frame traps. The rest you can always crouching light punch or 4-frame reversal against. So there are 2 situations where you generally don't want to push buttons against her, and that's after crouching hard punch into run and standing hard punch into OD run, because both of these moves will lead into a frame trap if you try to push a 4-frame normal. So don't push here and just block. If Kimberly does crouching hard punch OD run into her run stop, she's going to be +1, and this is the only time she's going to be plus after doing a run stop. So you don't want to push a 4-frame button here, because if she decides to push her own 4-frame, she will frame trap you and be able to start a combo. So don't push in this situation. Once you start showing Kimberly players that you know when to push your 4-frame normal during her run pressure strings, they'll start to change it up by going into her teleport. Now this can be beaten pretty easily by just doing any heavy attack slightly delayed, because if you do a heavy attack, it's going to beat both the OD version of her teleport and the regular version of her teleport. You can delay your heavy normal by about 4 frames, and you can do something like a standing hard punch or a crouching hard punch. As long as it has a good horizontal hitbox that reaches a little bit high, you'll be able to option select both teleport options and beat her out of it cleanly every time. So try these things out, and I'm pretty sure you're going to be doing a lot better in the Kimberly matchup once you know how to do this. Alright, so now it's time to look at a move that I know everybody hates, and it's Ken's Jinrai kicks. Just to start, the most important thing about Jinrai kicks is that you need to learn to listen to his voice when he's doing it, because the different versions of Jinrai kick is going to give you different options on block. Now, if we look at the first hit of Ken's Jinrai kicks, they all change depending on the level that he uses. A light Jinrai kick is going to be -11, a medium Jinrai kick is going to be -7, and a heavy Jinrai kick is going to be only -2. So the heavy kick version is safe, meanwhile the light and medium versions are not. So go into training mode and listen to his voice. Here's the sound he makes on the light Jinrai kick. Here's the sound he makes on medium Jinrai kick. And here's the sound he makes on heavy Jinrai kick. Now the voice is going to change a little bit depending whether you're on the English voice settings or the Japanese voice settings, but the most important thing to remember is no matter what voice setting you're on, he always says Jinrai when he does the heavy version. And this is going to be key to remember. So if you play a character that has an invulnerable OD special move like an OD Shoryuken, you can always just input a Shoryuken after blocking the first hit of light or medium Jinrai kick. Since Ken is going to be either -11 or -7 after this, it's always going to punish him whether he decides to stop his pressure or if he decides to go for a follow-up with either the light, medium, or heavy follow-up attacks. So listen to his voice, and as long as you don't hear him say Jinrai, you can always input an OD Shoryuken. Now if you play a character that doesn't have an OD Shoryuken, you can always just do a super after blocking the first hit as long as it is 7 frames or faster startup. That's because the medium kick Jinrai is -7, so your super has to be 7 frames or faster startup. Once you start punishing Ken players for doing this, they're going to mix in with the hard kick version of Jinrai kick, hoping to confuse you, because they're only -2, so your reversal is not going to work if they decide to block. That's why it's so important to listen to his voice. If you hear him say Jinrai, don't input your reversal and just block. It's one of the best things to do in this situation. That's what we should do with Jinrai when you're not in Burnout. But now let's look at Burnout options with Jinrai, because things start to change quite a bit. In Burnout, if Ken does light Jinrai into the light follow-up, this is a frame trap. It's not a block string, you can push buttons in between, but it will frame trap you even if you push a 4-frame normal. If he does medium kick Jinrai into the light follow-up, this is a gapless string, and even if you mash on buttons, nothing is going to come out. And same applies for the hard kick version. Hard kick Jinrai into the light kick follow-up is a gapless block string, so even if you push buttons, you can't get hit here either. Now what some Ken players will do, they'll do either a medium kick Jinrai or a light kick Jinrai into the medium kick follow-up, which is an overhead, and this is going to hit you, and it can also frame trap you for trying to push buttons. So to beat the overhead mix-up, just listen for the medium kick version. If you hear the medium kick version, push a 5 or 6 frame normal, which is probably going to be a medium attack, and just try to delay it ever so slightly, just like 2 or 3 frames. If you do it this way, the medium kick Jinrai into light kick follow-up will be a gapless string, but if he decides to go for the overhead, you're going to option select an attack and you'll be able to counter hit him out of it. This is great because there's no real mix-up here on your end, and you'll be able to defend better against Ken's Jinrai kicks when you're in burnout. Try that out and I'm sure you're going to have a much better time against Kens who use a lot of Jinrai kicks. Next up, I've got 2 option selects that you can use against Aki. First, let's start with one of Aki's reversals, Snake Step in the corner. Now in case you don't know, Snake Step has some special properties. From frame 1, it's fully strike invulnerable, which means if you try to do a physical attack, she's going to pass right through it. But the downside to this move is that it has no throw invulnerability, which means if you do a throw, it'll punish counter her and she can't tech this throw either. What'll often happen is you knock Aki down and you don't know whether you should do an attack or whether you should go for a throw because you're afraid of the OD Snake Step. So I actually found an option select that beats all of this, and just a word of warning, this is definitely the most lab monster option select I'm going to show in this video, so just be warned, it's pretty intense. To understand how this option select works, we have to understand a little quirk in the game system's engine. So in Street Fighter 6, if you input a light attack and immediately push throw, you're going to get a light into a throw. But this only happens if your light attack whiffs. If your light attack connects, whether on block or hit, you're just going to get a second light attack, not a throw. So we can use this system quirk to make a really effective option select against Aki. Basically what you do, you knock her down and you go for a meaty light attack, and then you immediately push light punch plus light kick at the same time. If Aki blocks or wakes up with a button, you're going to hit her and you can convert into a combo. If she wakes up with OD Snake Step, however, your first attack will whiff and then you'll automatically get a throw. Make sure you're not holding down back or back when you do this so you don't throw her back into mid-screen. Make sure you're either holding down or neutral when you do this option select so you get a forward throw, keeping her in the corner. This is really effective against Aki, so practice it and you're going to have a much better time in this matchup. The second option select we're going to look at is Aki's standing hard kick into her stance into either the light kick follow-up or the command grab follow-up. If Aki does standing hard kick into her stance into the light kick follow-up, this is a frame trap and it's going to catch you mashing. Once Aki conditions you to start blocking, she's going to switch it up, and instead of going for the light kick follow-up, she'll go for the throw follow-up, which is a command grab, and that means it can't be throw teched. However, there's a much bigger gap between her stance into command grab than there is from stance into her light kick follow-up. So all you have to do here is manually delay a medium attack and just time it so that you'll have enough time to block the light kick follow-up, but you'll counter hit her out of the command grab follow-up. Go into training mode, set Aki to do standing hard kick, stance, light kick follow-up, and then in slot 2, standing hard kick, stance, command grab, and practice your crouching medium punch or standing medium punch delayed timing to beat the command grab but still give you enough time to block the light kick follow-up. Now there is some counterplay to this on Aki's side. If Aki really delays the light kick follow-up, she can kind of reverse frame trap you for trying to go for this option, but that's kind of part of the RPS in this whole situation. So practice it, and I think you're going to be having a much better time against this move. Next, let's take a look at Blanka. There's a specific string that a lot of Blanka players like to use, and that's crouching light punch, standing light kick into his electricity special. Now this is really good for Blanka because if you block it, he is at -3, but he's left at a spacing where most characters' 4-frame normals won't reach him. So even though he's minus, he's still in a good position. However, in this string there is a gap between standing light kick and electricity. A really good counterplay against this is to try to go for a perfect parry after his standing light kick. If you land the perfect parry, Blanka's going to be -14, which means you can go for your best punish counter combo after this. The timing is pretty tight though, so go into training mode, record Blanka doing crouching light punch, standing light kick cancelled into electricity, and practice perfect parrying this as many times as you can. I was planning on taking a look at some level 2 counterplay for Blanka in this video, but it's such a difficult move to create counterplay because it changes a lot based on your main character, so I'm going to make this into a separate video at a later time. So my apologies for that, but please look forward to that video in a future release. Okay, let's take a look at Luke next. So one thing that Luke players love to do is to kind of use standing light punch spaced out and either chain constant standing light punches or try to sneak in a crouching light punch or crouching medium punch after you block the first standing light punch. This is totally fake pressure and definitely a knowledge check because Luke's standing light punch is actually -3 on block. You'll be able to interrupt anything he does after this as long as you're pushing a move that's 6 frames or faster. Now next we're going to be looking at DJ's forward medium kick, and this move works exactly like Ken's hard dragon lash. However, if you block this move standing, DJ is only going to be +1. Which means if DJ tries to frame trap you with a throw and you go for a 4 frame light, you'll be able to beat DJ out of this. So when you see DJ doing forward medium kick, try your best to block this move by reacting with a stand block. It changes up the dynamics of this move and makes the guessing game much harder on DJ's part if you're able to block this standing. And that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you learned something. If you did, please consider hitting the like and subscribe buttons because it helps support me as a content creator. And thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, take care.